Hi there readers, so today I wanted to actually revisit the beginning of The Gifts of Imperfection, because if you have read right through this book, you've done all 10 guideposts, and some of those are quite intense and make us look at ourselves perhaps in new ways than we're used to. And what I wanted to do was really, in the same way as it's good to start with the end in mind, sometimes it's good to end with the beginning in mind. So today I'm going to read to you from page 32. So if you want to press pause and go and fetch your book, then this is where we're starting. It's the section entitled Exploring the Power of Love, Belonging and Being Enough. Love is the most important thing in our lives, a passion for which we would fight or die, and yet we're reluctant to linger over its names. Without a supple vocabulary, we can't even talk or think about it directly. Diane Ackerman. Love and belonging are essential to the human experience. As I conducted my interviews, I realised that only one thing separated the research participants who felt a deep sense of love and belonging from the people who seemed to be struggling for it. That one thing is the belief in their worthiness. It's as simple and complicated as this. If we want to fully experience love and belonging, we must believe that we are worthy of love and belonging. When we can let go of what other people think and own our story, we gain access to our worthiness. The feeling that we are enough just as we are, and that we are worthy of love and belonging. When we spend a lifetime trying to distance ourselves from the parts of our lives that don't fit with who we think we're supposed to be, we stand outside of our story and hustle for our worthiness by constantly performing, perfecting, pleasing and proving. Our sense of worthiness, that critically important piece that gives us access to love and belonging, lives inside of our story. The greatest challenge for most of us is believing that we are worthy now, right this minute. Worthiness doesn't have prerequisites. So many of us have knowingly created or unknowingly allowed or been handed down a long list of worthiness prerequisites. I'll be worthy when I lose 20 pounds. I'll be worthy if I can get pregnant. I'll be worthy if I can get or stay sober. I'll be worthy if everyone thinks I'm a good parent. I'll be worthy when I can make a living selling my art. I'll be worthy if I can hold my marriage together. I'll be worthy when I make partner. I'll be worthy when my parents finally approve. I'll be worthy if he calls back and asks me out. I'll be worthy when I can do it all and look like I'm not even trying. Here's what is truly at the heart of wholeheartedness. Worthy now, not if, not when. We are worthy of love and belonging right now, right this minute, as is. In addition to letting go of the ifs and whens, another critical piece of owning our story and claiming our worthiness is cultivating a better understanding of love and belonging. Oddly enough, we desperately need both, but rarely talk about what they really are and how they work. Let's take a look. Defining love and belonging. For years I avoided using the word love in my research because I didn't know how to define it, and I wasn't sure that, love as a definition would fly. I also couldn't rely on quotes or song lyrics, however much they might inspire me and speak truth to me. It's not my training as a researcher. As much as we need and want love, we don't spend much time talking about what it means. Think about it. You might say I love you every day, but when's the last time you had a serious conversation with someone about the meaning of love? In this way, love is the mirror image of shame. We desperately don't want to experience shame, and we're not willing to talk about it. Yet the only way to resolve shame is to talk about it. Maybe we're afraid of topics like love and shame. Most of us like safety, certainty and clarity. Shame and love are grounded in vulnerability and tenderness. Belonging is another topic that is essential to the human experience but rarely discussed. Most of us use the terms fitting in and belonging interchangeably, and like many of you, I'm really good at fitting in. We know exactly how to hustle for approval and acceptance. We know what to wear, what to talk about, how to make people happy, what not to mention. We know how to chameleon our way through the day. One of the biggest surprises in this research was learning that fitting in and belonging are not the same thing. And in fact, fitting in gets in the way of belonging. Fitting in is about assessing a situation and becoming who you need to be accepted. Belonging, on the other hand, doesn't require us to change who we are, it requires us to be who we are. Before I share my definitions with you, I want to point out 3 issues that I'm willing to call truths. Love and belonging will always be uncertain. Even though connection and relationship are the most critical components of life, we simply cannot accurately measure them. Relational concepts don't translate into bubbled answer sheets. Relationship and connection happen in an indefinable space between people, a space that will never fully be known or understood by us. Everyone who risks explaining love and belonging is hopefully doing the best they can to answer an unanswerable question, myself included. Love belongs with belonging. One of the most surprising things that unfolded in my research is the pairing of certain terms. I can't separate the concepts of love and belonging, because when people spoke of one, they always talked about the other. The same holds true for the concepts of joy and gratitude, which I'll talk about in a later chapter. When emotions or experiences are so tightly woven together in people's stories that they don't speak of one without the other, it's not an accidental entanglement. It's an intentional knot. Love belongs with belonging. Of this, I am actually certain. After collecting thousands of stories, I'm willing to call this a fact. A deep sense of love and belonging is an irreducible human need from the moment we're born until the day we die. We are biologically, cognitively, physically and spiritually wired to love, to be loved and to belong. When those needs are not met, we don't function as we are meant to. We break, we fall apart, we numb, we ache, we hurt others, we get sick. There are certainly other causes of illness, numbing and hurt, but the absence of love and belonging will always lead to suffering. It took me 3 years to whittle these definitions and concepts from decades of interviews. Let's take a look. Love. We cultivate love when we allow our most vulnerable and powerless selves to be deeply seen and known. And when we honour the spiritual connection that grows from that offering with trust, respect, kindness and affection. Love is not something we give or get. It is something that we nurture and grow, a connection that can only be cultivated between 2 people when it exists within each one of them. We can only love others as much as we love ourselves. Shame, blame, disrespect, betrayal, and the withholding of affection damage the roots from which love grows. Love can only survive these injuries if they are acknowledged, healed, and rare. Belonging. Belonging is the innate human desire to be part of something larger than us. Because this yearning is so primal, we often try to acquire it by fitting in and by seeking approval, which are not only hollow substitutes for belonging, but often barriers to it. Because true belonging only happens when we present our authentic, imperfect selves to the world, our sense of belonging can never be greater than our level of self-acceptance. One reason that it takes me so long to develop these concepts is that I often don't want them to be true. It would be different if I studied the effect of bird poop on potting soil, but this stuff is personal and often painful. Sometimes, as I turn to the data to craft definitions like the one above, I would cry. I didn't want my level of self-love to limit how much I can love my children or my husband. Why? Because loving them and accepting their imperfections is much easier than turning that light of loving kindness on myself. If you look at the definition of love and think about what it means in terms of self-love, it's very specific. Practicing self-love means learning how to trust ourselves, to treat ourselves with respect, and to be kind and affectionate towards ourselves. This is a tall order given how hard most of us are on ourselves. I know I can talk to myself in ways that I would never consider talking to another person. How many of us are quick to think, God, I'm so stupid, and man, I'm such an idiot. Just like calling someone we love stupid or an idiot would be incongruent with practicing love, talking like that to ourselves takes a serious toll on our self-love. It's worth noting that I use the words innate and primal in the definition of belonging. I'm convinced that belonging is in our DNA and most likely connected to our most primitive survival instinct. Given how difficult it is to cultivate self-acceptance in our perfectionist society and how our need for belonging is hardwired, it's no wonder that we spend our lives trying to fit in and gain approval. It's so much easier to say, I'll be whoever or whatever you need me to be, as long as I feel like I'm part of this. From groupthink to gossiping, we'll do what it takes to fit in if we believe it will meet our need for belonging. But it doesn't. We can only belong when we offer our most authentic selves and when we're embraced for who we are. Practicing love and belonging. To begin by always thinking of love as an action rather than a feeling is one way in which anyone using the word in this manner automatically assumes accountability and responsibility. Bell hooks. While I have personally and professionally agonised over the definitions of love and belonging, I have to admit that they have fundamentally changed the way I live and parent. When I'm tired or stressed, I can be mean and blaming, especially towards my husband Steve. If I truly love Steve, and oh man I do, then how I behave every day is as important, if not more important, than saying I love you every day. When we don't practice love with the people we claim to love, it takes a lot out of us. Incongruent living is exhausting. It's also pushed me to think about the important differences between professing love and practicing love. During a radio interview about the rash of celebrity infidelities, the host asked me, "Can you love someone and cheat on them or treat them poorly?" I thought about it for a long time and then gave the best answer I could based on my work. I don't know if you can love someone and betray them or be cruel to them, but I do know that when you betray someone or behave in an unkind way toward them, you are not practicing love. And for me, I don't just want someone who says they love me, I want someone who practices that love for me every day. In addition to helping me understand what love looks like between people, these definitions also forced me to acknowledge that cultivating self-love and self-acceptance is not optional. They aren't endeavours that I can look into if and when I have some spare time. They are priorities. Wow, there's quite a lot in that, but I didn't want to cut any bits out. I want to go back to the can you love someone and cheat on them and treat them poorly. Think about how you treat yourself and whether you cheat on yourself. That might be a place to start. To follow on from this section, write your list of your worthiness prerequisites. Write them down and cross each one out. Cross each one out and write, I am worthy of love and belonging now, as I am, so you can let all those prerequisites go.